A very good morning to all of you. How are you all? I hope you all are fine at your places. And since you all know that we have completed two chapters, chapter number 3 and chapter number 2, right? Just recently we have completed chapter number 3, and before that we completed chapter number 2. And today we're going to start the chapter number 4. And the name of this particular chapter is The Market as a Social Institution, right? The market as a social institution. All right. Okay. So as usual, I'm going to share my PPT PowerPoint presentation with all of you. So here I go. Okay. Here I go. Here I go. Okay. All right. So chapter number 4, the market as a social institution. All right. Okay. So we're going to start with chapter number 4, the market as a social institution. All right. And this is the second slide. All right. Obviously, after this particular slide, this is the second slide. So what is market? Market is a place of interaction between the buyers and sellers, right? Producers and consumers in respect to goods and services. Now, I'm sure you all are aware of this particular term market, but we have to understand this term in a systematic way. We have to understand this term in a logical and rational way, that what exactly it means, right? Market, vegetable market, fruit market, or any kind of market, right? So there exist different kinds of market in the society or in the country or in the state, right? So in market, there is an interaction between buyers and sellers. So shopkeepers sell us certain things, so they act as sellers, and we buy certain things. When we go to the market, we act as buyers, right? Producers and consumers, right? Producers means the products that are there in the market, and when those finished products, we call those finished products as the products that we buy in the market, right? There is a role of producer also that is there in the market, right? Certain things come in the market after production, isn't it like that? So certain things come in the market after production, and those producers come in the market to sell their products, isn't it like that? And we are consumers. Apart from buyers, we are also consumers, aren't we? Okay. So consumers are actually buyers, or buyers consume the products, right? Whatever we get from the market. So we are not only buyers, we are consumers as well. In respect to goods and services. Now look, it's very important for all of you to understand what are goods and what are services, right? Goods are all those things that have physical existence, right? Vegetables have physical existence, fruits have physical existence, your different things that we buy, you know, clothes, right? Fabrics that we buy from the showrooms, from the malls, and from the different shops, right? So those all are goods, right? Your gadgets, smartphones, iPads, clothes, vegetables, fruits, and all those things which have physical existence comes under goods, right? All these things that we can actually see, you know, all those things come under goods. And what do you mean by services? Services means the service that we get from an educational institution, the service that we get from medical institutions, the service that we get from, I would say, from banking institution. Bankers provide us services, right? Teachers provide us services. Doctors provide us services. Can you see my teaching? No, you can't see my teaching. Services are the things that cannot be seen, right? As a teacher, I provide you service. Doctors provide you medical service. Bankers means all those officials that work in the bank, they provide you service, right? So service, or, or I would say services and goods are two different things. Goods can be seen and we buy goods, and services, we cannot see services, right? I'm teaching you, this is my service to you. Doctor is, taking care of your health. He's giving you medical service. Can you see that medical service? No, we can't see that, those medical service as we can see goods, right? And obviously the service of entertainment is provided by our Bollywood, right? The service of medical care is provided by our doctors. The service of protection is provided by our policemen, right? Police gives us protection. That is a kind of service. Teachers give you education. That is kind of a service. Your doctors provide you medical and healthcare. That is kind of a service, right? So this is what services and goods are, all about. I'm sure you have got the idea regarding goods and services. It's not like that in market we only buy goods. We get certain services also, right? Because in market, vegetable vendor would be there, fruit vendor would be there, and obviously there would be certain clinics would also be there in the market, right? So Urvi has joined the meeting. Okay. So what I was saying you, that's the reason I always tell you to come at the class or come in the class at the right time. Otherwise, I have to keep on adding all of you, at different times. So I would recommend you or reckon you to, join the class at the right time. I can give you 1 or 2 minutes, but not more than that, right? Otherwise, I feel like something has changed the atmosphere of the class, but no problem, no issue. Everyone is welcome in the class, but I would definitely say or reckon all of you to come at the right time. All right. So what I was telling you the goods and services, right? I'm sure you've got the idea of goods and services. So in market, we get goods as well as services. All right. This is what market is all about, right? Producer, consumers, buyers and sellers are there in the market. Isn't it like that? Okay. We are used to thinking of the market as an economic institution. Look, we have a habit to see or observe the market as an economic institution. That's it. That's it. We always, think about the market in these particular terms, right? What is economy? Economy is a state. Economy is a condition. Economy is a structure where production and consumption takes place. As I've already told you that consumption and production takes place in economic structure or in economy, where buyers and sellers are there, right? Buy and selling takes place in the market, right? All these things happens in a market, and we always assume, we always understand market as an economic institution, right? But we never go beyond that. But there are certain things that you need to understand about the market beyond economic institution understanding that is there in our mind. And in this chapter or in this lesson, we're going to understand market as a social institution, right? We not only have to consider or understand market as an economic institution where buying and selling is taking place, consumers and producers are there, different services and goods are being provided to the people. We don't have to, limit our thinking to that level only, right? We need to understand much more or beyond, this particular perception that we have regarding the market. So in this chapter, we're going to study that. We're going to study market as a social institution, right? Okay. In its own way, the market is comparable to more obviously social institutions like caste, tribe, family, we discuss all these things in chapter 3. So market is just like another institution of caste, just like another institution of tribe, just like another institution of family, right? So that's what happens. We have to, see market as a social institution, right? Just like we understood all those institutions in the chapter 3, right? Now, whatever I have told you till now, it was all about the economic understanding of a market. It was all about understanding the market in economic terms, right? We understand market in economic terms. So what we have understood until now, we have understood the aspect in the economic terms only. Now we're going to understand the aspect of market as a social aspect, right? We're going to understand social aspect of the market. We have to understand the social side of the market. That's what now we will understand. Apart from buying and selling, interaction of people also takes place, isn't it? Yes. Interchange and interaction among people. So interchange of goods and services happen in society, happen in market. Interaction also happen in a market, right? It is a place where there is exchange of information and building of relationship, right? Now, obviously, relationships are built in the market. I'm talking about the social relationships. And obviously, information is also exchanged there, right? Now, suppose I'm going to a market from a very long time. So I always buy certain clothes from a particular shop. I always buy certain gadgets like a smartphone, iPhone, or anything like that. I always buy it from a particular person. So I always build a relationship with that particular person. I always have that relationship with that particular person. We start knowing different people when we visit any market, and with the passage of time, we get a good understanding among ourselves. That was exactly happened in the market. There is exchange of information that takes place among people. Building of relationship also takes place in a market. That is a social aspect. Apart from buying and selling, and that's it, production and consumption. Apart from all these things, we are trying to understand market as a social aspect. That's what exactly happens in a market whenever we try to understand social aspect of market. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the next slide. I hope you have understood everything till now from this slide. Okay, so okay, so what happens? Okay, that's the new slide. Okay, so this kind of question comes regarding this particular chapter, that differentiate the sociological and economic perspective of market, right? So I've already discussed a lot of things regarding a perspective, that is sociological perspective, and on the other hand, I've also told you the economic perspective. Perspective means view. We have a sociological view or perspective of a market, and then we have a economic view or economic perspective of a market. So we need to differentiate between these two things, and I hope you will definitely able to relate with these points that are actually there written in this particular slide. I hope you will definitely understand what is exactly written in this particular slide. So differentiate between sociological and economic perspective of market. Look, I always come up with a ready-made material for you. I always come up with a good content with you, so that you don't waste and much time in searching for the good content and something like that. I always try to come up with good content. I always try to come up with good explanations of the things, so that you can understand things in a much better way. And all these things are going to help you eventually when you're going to give your final exams, right? So that's the reason I always make the slides as good as I can. So now what we're going to understand, or what we were talking about the difference between sociological and economic perspective of market, right? Sociological perspective or sociology deals with the market as a social institution, involves interaction. I've already told you that interaction takes place, right? Okay, when we understand economic perspective, then we never try to understand, when we never try to observe the interaction aspect, and we never try to understand the different sociological perspective in that. But the social side of the market is always understood by the sociology. Sociology always helps us to understand the sociological perspective. Okay, sociology deals with the market as a social institution involving interaction. Meeting of kin. Meeting of kin means meeting of relatives. We often meet our relatives in the market. Suppose I'm going to a market, I'm going to a mall, and suppose my cousin, I see my cousin there. So sometimes, there is a meeting that happens, or more often than not, it happens in the market. When we go out to visit any market, we often meet our kins, we often meet our relatives, we often meet our friends at times. Okay, and then we start gossiping, or talking about the different things, that how are you, how are you, and all those things, and how is it going, and what about you, what are you doing nowadays. So we try to do a little bit of gossip, with our kins or with our relatives that we meet in the market. And dissemination of information means spreading of information. Dissemination of information means transmitting of information. Dissemination of information means your exchange of information, right? That also happens in a market. Setting of marriage, settling of marriage, etc. So settling of marriage here means that we started talking about different aspects, and we often talk about settling marriages. We often talk about that guy or that girl can be can be if a boy is of marriageable age, or if a girl is of marriageable age, then people start gossiping about all these things, you know. So that's what actually happens in a sociological perspective of the market, right? So that's what you can write. And when we talk about etc, why it is written etc here, because you can add certain things also, whatever comes in your mind, and that whatever happens in a sociological perspective of the market, you can actually add it here. But these are things are, I think, enough to write anything in your answer. Okay, economic deals with the market as an economic institution involving trading, buying and selling, distribution, money oriented processes, etc. The student may use an example from tribal market, village market, traditional business communities, joint family businesses to explain the above, right? So when we try to understand the economic perspective of the market, then we always try to understand the producing aspect, consumption, buying, selling, trading, all this happens. Supply of money, right? Supply of money is always there in the market, right? When we try to understand this aspect in the economic perspective. Supply of money means I'm buying something, I'm buying a particular good, right? I'm buying clothes, I'm buying a particular gadget. So I'm buying a good, and from the seller, and I'm giving money to him. So that's actually exchange of money. Exchange of interaction or exchange of information takes place in sociological perspective, and exchange of money or supply of money, in buying goods or in buying services from certain people, there is an exchange of money, right? That's happened in economic perspective. I'm sure you have understood what I'm trying to make you understand here. Okay, so market and social aspect of market, differentiation between sociological and economic perspective of market. Okay. Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nations, sociological perspective of market. Okay. So today we're gonna understand about this slide also, and we'll only understand this slide. Okay. So this is the last slide of today's class, and it's important for all of you to listen me properly, because it is important thing for all of you to understand, right? So be vigilant in the class, be alert in the class, right? Nowadays I'm trying to make you understand things pretty slowly, so that you can understand things. I always speak fast when I think that if any particular topic doesn't need that much attention, then I always go fast. Whenever I give you good explanation on something, after that I always try to speak as fast as I can, so that we save our time to understand the difficult things. So this is what you need to understand. This may be difficult, but I'll try to make you understand this thing in a simple terms, right? So be alert, everyone, right? So Adam Smith, The Wealth of Nation, right? Now, when I'm talking about this particular man, Adam Smith, now you try to understand here one thing is that Adam Smith is an economist. He's an economist who has written a book, and the name of his book is The Wealth of Nation. You always have to remember the books and the authors of those, books, because it may come in your exams, right? So that's the reason. you need to remember all these things, right? Adam Smith, who is an economist, and he came up with a book, and the name of this particular book is Wealth of Nations. So what he attempted to make us understand here, he attempted to understand the market economy that was just emerging in the 18th century, right? Market economy. Now look, now you need to understand what is market economy, right? It's important for all of you to understand market economy. Okay. Now what do you mean by market economy? Market economy is that economy in which trade is free trade. Now, what do you understand by free trade? Free trade is that trade in which government has not got enough role to play. Government don't put certain restrictions on the trade, where government don't try to regulate or exercise their powers in the market, right? Free market is that market that is free from the rules and hard regulations that government imposed on a market, right? That's what free trade is all about. And market economy is that economy. Market economy is that economy in which there is an existence of free trade, where there is an existence of that kind of free trade in which government is not putting restrictions. Look, government or state, when I'm saying government, then it also means state, right? Okay, so government, when you know, don't try to put certain regulations or certain restrictions on the trade, then it becomes a free market. And free market tells us what market economy is all about. Look, government can, you know, put restrictions in certain manners. Government can put certain tax on the things. Government can put certain, you know, restrictions or certain barriers in the production of certain things. If government says that there should be no cold drinks in the market, then there will be no cold drink in the market, right? So the rules and regulations that government put or imposed in a market, that's what gives rise to free market. And free market is something that is related to market economy. It's a kind of economic system. Market economy is a kind of economy, or market economy is a kind of market in which there is free trade, where government is not putting certain rules and regulations on the market, and everything in which everything is based on the supply and supply and your, what would I say here? Okay, so supply and demand, right? So what happens in a market economy? Everything is based on supply and demand. Look, if something is heavily in demand, that is going to be produced in the industries, that is going to be produced or manufactured in the industries, and that is going to come eventually in the market, right? So market economy is that economy which is having the characteristics of free market. I've already told you what is free market, where government is not, you know, interfering much in the production of things, in buying and selling of the things, in production and consumption of the thing. Where government is not at all, you know, interfering in a very intense manner. No, when government is actually saying that, you know, just run your market on the basis of demand and supply. If something is in demand, then the market should always try to, you know, provide that particular thing to the citizens, to the people, right? So that's what market economy is all about. And remember that there was a time when government was, you know, government used to interfere a lot in the market, but in the 18th century, the emergence of market economy started taking place. You know, government start, you know, regulating the market with less restrictions, with less regulations, right? That's what actually happening. So it was important for us, for all of you, or for us to understand the market economy, right? So Adam Smith, who in his book The Wealth of Nations attempted to understand the market economy that was just emerging in the 18th century, Smith argued that the market economy is made up of a series of individual exchange and transactions which automatically create a functioning and ordered system. This happens even though none of the individuals involved in the millions of transactions had intended to create a system. Look, market and look, in market, demand and supply is very important, right? market is always going to, you know, give you those goods. Market is always going to give you those services that are in demand, right? If there is demand of you can take an example of smartphones. If there is a demand of you know, smartphones in the market, then industries are going to produce more and more smartphones, then industries are going to produce more and more gadgets, right? And that's what is going to come in the market. So there is going to be demand, there is going to be demand, and due to that there is going to be supply, right? So supply is something that is you know, that's something rests on the demand, right? And what Smith argued here is that he says that, you know, there are a lot of people involved in the market, isn't it like that? There are a lot of people that are involved in the market. Okay, so what they all do, they are, some people are, you know, working in the industry, some people are working in the, you know, factories, some people are working in the market, some people are buying, some people are selling, some people are, you know, they're in the exchange of money, some people are, you know, doing different things. You know, different things are done by different people at the same time, isn't it like that? Many things are happening in the society because of because of the work that people are doing in the market. So different people, or I would say many people, are involved in the market. And remember that everyone is working for their self-interest, right? Everyone is working for their self-interest. If someone in a shop is selling something, then obviously he's having his self-interest. That's the reason he's selling, you know, his products that are there in his shop, or that is there in the market. So everyone is working for their own, so self-interest is definitely there, you know, in the whole scenario, in the whole system of the market. But remember that everyone is indirectly dependent on on each other, right? That's what exactly happening, and that's what exactly Adam Smith wants to say here. He wants to say here that everyone is involved in their own work, and everyone is concerned about themselves. Everyone is, you know, having that self-interest, and due to that market is running, right? One boy is selling something in a market, and you know, he's a seller, and someone is buying that particular thing, and things are coming from the industries, things are coming from the markets, right? So there is a cycle, you know, that is going on in a society. And Adam Smith here is saying that this is what invisible hand is all about, right? Everyone is working, we can't see that, although we can't see the, you know, the interconnectedness between the things, but that is happening, right? That is happening. So there is an invisible hand that we actually can't see, but all the people are actually interrelated to each other. This is a this is the condition that is going on right now. We all are quarantined, right? And you know, COVID-19 is going on. So is any market going on right now? No market is going on. People are not involved in any kind of market. People are not trading. People are not doing business. So what do you mean by this situation? It means that no one is involved in doing anything, right? You know, no one is at all no one is involved in doing any kind of trade right now. So no market is going on. But when a general market goes on, then everyone is involved in the trading. Everyone you know, is interrelated to each other. That's what exactly happens, right? And what Smith argued here, what he wants to say here is that Smith argued that the market economy is made of series of individual exchanges. Yes, series of individual exchanges and interactions and transactions that takes place. Transactions mean interchange of goods and services, you know, that happens in the society. That's what transactions means, which automatically create a functioning and ordered system, right? No one is trying to create an ordered system. It is automatically happening in the society. It is automatically, you know, functioning. Society is automatically functioning because of the different, you know, the work that everyone is doing. Someone is working in his retail shop, someone is working in industry, some laborers are working in certain, you know, factories. Some people are coming to the market to buy the things. So this is the kind of functioning that is going on. No one is trying to, you know, bring an order in the society. Everyone is looking for himself. Everyone has got his own interest. But still, what is happening? Functioning and ordered functioning is going on, which is resulting to the ordered system. Okay, ordered system. This happens even though none of the individual nor the millions of transaction has intended to. No one has tried to create a, you know, market, but no one has tried to create an ordered market. But ordered market is existing, isn't it? Each person looks only to their own self-interest. I've already told you that everyone is, you know, looking for their own self-interest, but in the pursuit of their self-interest, the interest of all, is fulfilling and all seems to look after. Okay, so everyone is looking for their own interest, and it is eventually giving what it is eventually giving to the fulfillment of the interest of the society, right? Because society is going to happen from the individual, it is going to work from the individuals. If individuals will work within themselves, it's definitely going to give a result to an ordered system, an ordered market, right? But the real thinking behind everyone who is existing in the market is about themselves, right? It's all about self-interest. But for fulfilling their self-interest, what is happening here is that the interest of society is automatically being fulfilled, right? And this is what Adam Smith talks about here as invisible hand. Okay, also seem to looked after. In this sense, there seems to be some sort of unseen force at work that converts what is good for each individual and into what is good for the society. So something that is good for the individual is definitely going to become good for society as well. And this is what Adam Smith talks about, and he calls it as the invisible hand by Adam Smith, right? So I have actually written the invisible hand by Adam Smith in red color so that you can really understand the importance of this particular aspect. Okay, thus Smith argued that the capitalist economy is driven by individual self-interest and works best when individual buyers and sellers make rational decisions that serve their own interests. Smith used the idea of the invisible hand to argue that the society overall benefits when individuals pursue their own self-interest in the market because it stimulates the economy and creates more wealth. Look, capitalist economy is that economy where the role of government is very limited, where most of the people are having their private trade, where most of the people are having their own private factories, right? They have got the resources, they have got the means of production. That means of, when I'm saying means of production, that it means that machines, right? Now you can see that India is a mixture of capitalism, and India is a mixture of capitalism and what? Capitalism and socialism, right? Certain things are owned by government and certain things are owned by private owners, and when private owners exist, then we call it as capitalist economy. People have capital in the form of factories and industries that they are running, and that's what capital economy is all about, right? So Adam Smith wants to say here is that the market should be free market. There should be not much restriction of the government, because if government will start restricting, if government will start regulating the government, then the fulfillment of the society may not happen to the extent that people wants to have, right? So that's what Adam Smith wants to say here. Okay, so for this reason, Smith argued the idea of a free market. I've already discussed with you about what is free market is all about. So for this reason, Smith supposed the idea of a free market, that is a market free from all kinds of regulations, whether by the state or otherwise. When it is written state here, then it means that government. Look, we say that state is going to take strict actions against the people who are violating the laws in this COVID-19 situation. We say it like that. Then what is state here? State means government. When state is taking hard decisions or is going to punish those people who are violating the laws in this COVID-19 situation, then what does it mean? It means that the state is a government. So when I say state, then it also means government. You got to understand this, right? So when there is a free market, the market that is free from all kinds of regulations. Regulation means tax and different kinds of duties that government imposed or charge on the things, right? That's what regulations here mean is all about, right? So when there is a free market from all kinds of regulation, whether by the state or otherwise, this economic philosophy was given the name of laissez-faire, a French phrase that means leave alone or let it be. So whenever there is a free market, whenever there is less regulation or no regulation from the government side or from the state side, then we call that situation, or then we call that particular economic policy as laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a French phrase that means leave alone. Okay, we are saying, or we are saying that a particular market is free from government regulation. So that is what laissez-faire is all about. Look, why I have written laissez-faire and the Invisible Hand by Adam Smith in red color because it has already come in the exams, right? So I'm sure you have understood the idea of Invisible Hand by Adam Smith and the concept of lazy sphere. Okay, so this is what this class was all about. I hope you have understood everything. In case if you have not understood anything, you can text me in the WhatsApp, and in case if something is left, we're going to complete it in the next class. Okay, so I hope you've understood about these two concepts and the concepts that I've already discussed with all of you. So the time has come to say you goodbye. Until then, take care all. Stay safe, stay at home, and God bless you all. God bless you all. Okay. God bless you all. Okay. I've got a message. I had to check in. Okay. Okay. So bye bye.